Well, hello, America. Everybody today and tonight is going to tell you about the shooting at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., where apparently an old, angry white man came in and opened fire with a rifle, critically wounding security guard before two officers shot back. Security guard Stephen Tyrone Johnson has reportedly died. The suspect, James Von Brunn, is in the hospital now. More details are coming in. We'll talk about those in just a second. But first, here's the one thing. The one thing that they're missing is the pot in America is boiling, and this is just yet another warning to all Americans of things to come. This guy is a lone gunman nut job. He wrote an article titled "Hitler's Worst Mistake, He Didn't Gas the Jews." You're going to see a lot of nut jobs coming out of the woodwork now. There are two very important things that are happening here. First one, it's what I talked about 2 years ago. When I talked about the perfect storm, I said that there is a storm formulating, and it's the economy, it is political correctness, it's corruption in Washington, it's militant Islam, it's all of these things. I said when it comes on shore, there's going to be a go, go, go mentality, and that's what this is. There is a mentality in our enemies. Our country is now vulnerable. Those people who would like to destroy us, our enemies like Al-Queda, they'd like to destroy us, and they will work with anyone. There are also people like white supremacists or 9/11 truthers that would also like to destroy the country. They'll work with anybody they can. Coming through our southern border, Al-Queda is trying to prepare people. I showed you this video last week. Watch this.
4 pounds of anthrax in a suitcase this big, carried by a fighter through tunnels from Mexico into the U.S., are guaranteed to kill 330,000 Americans within a single hour if it is properly spread in population centers there. What a horrifying idea. 9/11 will be small change in comparison. Am I right?
Right. Okay, enough. That wasn't some average radical teacher. This is one of Osama bin Laden's close friends. I'm not saying this guy is connected to these people at all. I'm just telling you this kind of stuff is coming. Especially in the light of what's just happened, a little more relevant than it was last week. We are under attack in almost every shape and form in America. We need to look out for enemies, foreign and domestic. Second, there is going to be a witch hunt, I believe, in this country and quite possibly all around the world for two groups. First group, Jews. It happens every time. Second group, I think, conservatives. 2 years ago, I spoke with Benjamin Netanyahu. I told him, you are being set up. You are being set up. Israel is being set up. Iran's goal of nuclear weapons is putting Israel into the crosshairs, and here's what's going to happen. The rest of the world is going to say, oh, peace, peace, peace. They will have no choice but to do something to stop nukes from being launched into Israel. The rest of the world is going to stand by and let them do it because they're the only ones that will, because they have a right to survive. And then the whole world will turn on Israel and they will blame Israel. Oh, the Jews stirred the pot. We were so close to peace. Anybody who has read history knows when things go bad, the Jews become scapegoats. Jews. It's coming again, especially over in Europe. I am sorry to say. Please, can we learn from history and not make the same mistakes again? Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security reports about right-wing extremists. Remember that came out a few weeks ago? Left-wing bloggers and some in the media have blamed conservative hosts like me or Bill O'Reilly for just stirring the pot. I'm not stirring the pot. I am pointing out that the pot is boiling and there is trouble in America. Since when? Have you ever heard of don't blame the messenger? This is not the work of right-wing conservatives. This is the work of somebody today who is racist, crazy, or most likely both. Common sense tells you there are very hateful people on the right and the left. I'm going to show you some of them in great detail here in a second. The world will use any excuse to come after those people that they now deem unpopular. Whether you choose, and they'll do it for their own power. Whether you choose to ignore it, well, that's your prerogative. There's no longer a question of if the pot is boiling. We can all see that it is boiling. The question is, how do we pull ourselves together and defend ourselves against a common enemy? All afternoon, we've been using this one shot of the Holocaust Museum shooter, James von Brunn. In this picture, he looks much younger than his 90 or 89 years. This is the photo of the shooter, but just a photo of him, obviously, at a younger age. Now let's bring in a panel on this. Joel Rosenberg is the author of Inside the Revolution. Harry Binswanger, he is a professor of philosophy at the Ayn Rand Institute, and Mike Baker is former CIA covert operations officer. Joel, let me start with you first. What are your thoughts on what I just said about what's coming?
Well, it's a horrible day here in Washington. I was just driving past the site, and it's literally swarming with police because we are on a hair trigger alert here in this city. You never know if it's a lone gunman or if something larger is going to start to unfold. So this, I guess, if you have to say, fortunately, was a lone gunman. But the hatred that you talk about is so deep, it's so real, and this guy, had a rifle. He didn't run a country. He wasn't building nuclear weapons. He wasn't threatening to annihilate everybody. He just wanted to kill people at the Holocaust Museum. But it shows you when a nutcase, a racist, gets his hands on weapons, you've got trouble, and that's why Washington is concerned. I don't know that people in Pennsylvania Avenue at the White House, however, are as concerned today about Iran as they should be.
One of the, Mike, let me go to you. One of the guys, or one of the groups that I've been warning about for a very long time are these 9/11 truthers. It is the information that we have at this point is this guy is a hero in the 9/11 truther community. Don't know if that's true or not. That is the early report. These are people that, it's totally fine to speak out against the Fed, but these are whacked out conspiracy. The government has planned 9/11, the Jews were involved, et cetera, et cetera. And from what we have seen in early reports, this guy is being held up as somebody, they liked him because he'll actually do something about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, crazy hate doesn't know any bounds. So whether it's von Brunn today at the Holocaust Museum, whether it's the Muslim extremist shooting the private at the recruiting center down in Arkansas, whether it's the abortion doctor getting shot, there's something. Whether these things happen in groups, whether they serve somehow in these psychopaths' minds to fuel each other's actions. The problem with the 9/11 truthers. People are horrified when they see the reports after 9/11 of Muslims celebrating what happened with 9/11 overseas, and yet then, as you pointed out, we will undoubtedly have some people in a certain segment of society looking at this going, oh, yay, great for von Brunn.
Harry, because I think this is what I'm worried in our society about. The crazy nut jobs have always been there. But when you start applying pressure, that's when you find out what somebody's character is. When you look at somebody who is under great amount of pressure, when they wig out, that's when you know who they are. So the world and finances and everything else is putting in extreme pressure on the American society and the world society, quite frankly. Everybody is feeling this pressure. The first to crack are the nut jobs. Right. But this is also, the same pressure is being pushed down on the average American through things like the GM bailouts where, I heard extreme anger on my radio show today